Hey guys, welcome back to another episode of the Childcare Director's Chair. I'm your host, Erica Sicoccio. We have an exciting episode for you. But before we jump into that, I want to say I love my listeners. I want to give a big shout out to our listeners in Lansing, Michigan, Phoenix, Arizona, Lakeville, Minnesota, and Elkhorn, Wisconsin. We see you. Thank you for tuning in day after day. We appreciate your support and love. Today we have a special guest on our episode, which I don't normally bring on guests. As you know, it's usually just me. But I have a great friend of ours, Daniel Laurent, and he is the owner of For Your Review, which is a company that does customer service training along with a number of other services. Why don't you tell them real quick what you do?
So For Your Review, it does customer service training. It does targeted focus groups. It also, we help with customer service experience and making the best experience that can be memorable. And also we have an arm that can help with the retention of staff and creating programs, to incentivize, because clearly in a workforce, people are struggling finding good talent and keeping good talent. So
For sure.
Yeah.
So today we're going to talk about maximizing success in your childcare business, the role of customer service training, and discover how implementing a comprehensive customer service training program can set your childcare business apart from the competition and drive success for years to come. And I personally love to talk about customer service. Mm-hmm. This is how we kind of came together at a conference. It was something that we were both really passionate about. So I'm going to let you lead and just tell the folks a little bit about how customer service training can benefit their business in terms of client retention and satisfaction.
I think it's everything, right? And I think because it's weird because it is everything. It's often undervalued, where people are focused on the water, the bottle, the cap, making sure all the ingredients, all that stuff.
It's but you're organic.
Organic.
It's filtered from a mountain in Fiji.
Non-GMO. It's blah, blah, you know what I mean? And then you go to the price points of, is it $1.99? Is it $2.99? Is it 2 for 1? Is it 2 for 5? But the how in which it gets delivered, how you're greeting a person as they're purchasing it. Once they're walking away, what do you say to the person? I think, is there a follow-up? Do you get emails? Do you get date of birth? Do you send happy birthday? Thank you so much for so I think for me, I'm just using myself as an example. I'm very simple in the sense of a consumer going into a store, right? I'm not a person where I need you to, grab me and say, how can I help you? And, I don't need all that stuff, right? But at the very least, I just want to be seen. So when I walk in, hi, good morning. Oh my God, it's raining outside, huh? It's, raining cats and dogs, right? Just a little thing. And then if I need you, you're available. And so I say that in a very broad sense, where it can be whether childcare, it can be retail, construction, whatever. I think being present and being available is very important, and it's often just haphazardly done.
So that makes me think about when you say the word being present. That's something something I value very much at our child care center. So there are many models and structures around child care. I believe in being in my center, and a lot of the bigger gurus will say, no, you should be working on your business, not in your business. But the difference for me is that I am present, and my parents do know me, and they know my face, and they know that they can reach me, and I'm very approachable in there, right? So in the morning, a lot of times I'm the one opening the door and saying, good morning, Susie. Good morning, Mom. Tell me about, your child's night last
That makes
night.
a difference.
It does make a difference. And our customer retention is anywhere between 5 to 8 years.
Wow.
For a customer. And, for those in the field, we know, one customer could pay you $15,000 a year.
Now, what's the average? Do you know?
The average?
Yeah.
Depending on how old the child is when they come to us.
Okay.
So if they come in as an infant to toddler, they're usually with us for 8 years.
No, but industry-wise, is there industry standard?
It's
hard
I think
to gauge that.
Well, so what's hard about that is it depends on the service the program provides. So if you only go up to age 5 and you have an
Then
infant,
they max
you only
out.
you only can serve. So that's a great tip on how to expand your services and revenue by, offering additional ages of care. But
And being thoughtful in the beginning, maybe, because definitely there's a build out, right? You could start at this and then you want to expand. But I think intentionality is super important. And so, what are you offering? And so, if you think I want to do K through whatever, but maybe you start incrementally,
Yeah.
you know.
And I also find a lot of businesses right now are competing with universal pre-K, which is free preschool. So now you have a choice between free preschool or a private preschool.
Interesting.
And so a private preschool, you really have to care about that customer service piece, because they could go to another preschool for free. Why are they going to pick you? What are the things that you're going to do that are above and beyond that they're willing to pay for?
Is
right?
universal pre-K, is that like country, like across the country?
It is definitely a movement throughout the country.
Interesting.
So yeah, more and more places are having state-funded pre-K, and I would say within 5 years, probably that's going to be more of the norm than not.
So would you, if you had to compare that to someone that's not in the industry and just someone that happens to listen, would you compare that to a public school versus private school?
Yes, that's exactly what I would compare that to.
Interesting.
Right. So, people will choose to pay to have their child go to a school because it offers something different, special, unique.
So now it's a boutique. So it's like going to a doctor's office versus going to boutique. I come from healthcare.
Yeah.
And so, our doctor's office, we had dermatologists there, and you get, you call and get your referral from your doctor, then you give it to us, versus going to another office that literally called your doctor for you, processed the referrals, made sure you did everything, made sure the pharmacy and everything was done. So it's interesting. So it's more, okay.
Yeah. So just to kind of put it in context. So what are some key strategies that you share with your clients on how to implement effective customer service training in their business or their childcare setting?
I think I always try to meet people where they are. And, tangibles for where they are important, because I can easily say what I believe and what I think, but it depends on where people are. And so for, in the childcare space, use that, right? Because we're talking just something as simple as a standard of whenever a parent comes and drops their child off, it's a standard, hey, good morning, how are you? How was your week? Something, right? And not just, that's like foundation. And so if the foundation is broken, then it's hard because there's so many different things. We have parents who single parent households. You have grandmothers watching. You have, it might be abuse cases happening, right? There's all these different things that's happening that you have no idea of. And so that smile that you give to your client, your customer, can literally make the difference in their day.
Yeah.
And it costs you nothing. It's not a fake smile where you look like a maniac.
Yeah.
But just like a hi.
I think one of the things where we really excel in that, it makes me think about Mr. Will, who was a staff member who worked for us for a very long time, and it's raining out today. So Mr. Will would, if it were raining, he'd had an umbrella, and he would go out to the car, open up the umbrella, and walk in the family.
Wow.
Or if somebody had an infant, we would say, call ahead, let us know, and we'd bring the child out to,
it's
to
almost
the
like
family.
a hotel.
Yeah, I think it was just, we were trying to figure out what would be the way to make this as easy as possible and as comfortable as possible, and really think about them as a family, right? Would you want your mom, right, with 15 bags hanging off her shoulders, holding a car seat, it's pouring rain, you're trying to open the door? You wouldn't want that. And so that was always his philosophy. If that was my wife, that was my sister, that was my mom, I would want someone to help her, right?
Now, question, did he take it upon himself, or did you?
He did.
Interesting.
He did.
See, that's rare, man.
Yeah, he did. So he was also a little bit of an older generation, and I think he just looked at it as
service,
as that's what I would want for my family. And so, working with your team to figure out what, like you said, meeting your customers where they're at. I think to communication. The more communication and the more transparency you have with families, the better connected they are with your program.
And I guess finding what communication, because like relationships, right? A lot of relationships fail because of communication, right? But what does communication look like? Because what I consider communication, you may not consider communication, right? And so I think finding that, and so internally building with your team and actually like building relationships. Yeah. So you may not like people, you may not want to invite them to dinner, but at the very least, like I should know that you love sci-fi movies.
Yeah.
Right? And so it's like, oh, did you see that new?
Yeah.
I'm making care less. But that little connection, that now
personal.
It makes it easier for when there's a service failure and I need to talk to you about course correction. Yeah. And the other thing, just really quickly, the question you just asked, I should have said this. And I always say this when I'm talking to people, find your pickle, right? And what I mean by that is, very long story, but short. There was a restaurant owner who everyone would come in, always get extra pickles and all that type of stuff. Somewhere along the lines, someone made a decision to charge people for extra pickles. The person stopped going. She ended up writing a complaint letter, blah, blah, blah. She said, I'm never coming back. And the owner was upset that a service failure happened. And so he told everyone in there across the board, you give out pickles. That's what they come here for. So finding your pickle in a outside of a restaurant is the umbrella, right? So going and doing that. If you are, they use the example of if it was a garbage truck, right? They help people start their lawnmowers, right? Instead of like cranking, they go and help. Yeah. Whatever your pickle is, whatever makes you different from other people is literally the difference of your business being a success or not. Yeah. In my opinion.
And you got to build on that. And you got to be able to articulate to your staff what that looks like in practice, right? Because like you said, communication could mean different things to different people. And I think everybody communicates differently. So you have to use different methods of communication, written, in person. That's why family events are so great, because they're building those bonds. And so when you have to have sometimes difficult conversations with families, there's a relationship and they know that you care. So it's coming from a place of love, especially in our field. Like, I mean, you cannot have a child for 8 years and not care about that child. You just can't. It's like impossible. Yeah. So you have to really be able to make sure that you're providing that. What role does communication play in providing exceptional customer service? What really is that, do you think?
I think I think it's everything. And what I say to that is communication / transparency. So, in transparency, there's different levels of it, obviously. But I'm a person where I believe if you had 3 people that called out today and your system went down, right, and the power went out, it's just better to say, of course, everything happened wrong today, right? And you put that out there and not try to hide it, because then what happens is when there's a service failure and someone complains, then you use that as the excuse. Oh, we had 3 call outs today. I'm sorry I wasn't there to be there on time to let you in, right? Or I've been calling all morning because I wanted to let you guys know I was running late. Oh, the power went down. Yep. Instead of just coming and saying, oh, good morning, I think that when you, and it's also empowering for those watching, my hip hop heads, if anyone watched 8 Mile, right? When Eminem, when he did his battle at the end of the movie, he actually highlighted all of his flaws and insecurities. And I do live in a trailer park, and and my mom is so you say all that. And so now what does the person say?
I have nothing left to say. Yeah.
So
I love that example. So that this is really happened to us last week. So the norovirus is going around. Yikes. And I have 14 staff at one of my locations. 7 of them got sick.
At once?
At once.
Yikes.
That was 50% of my staff. So I had to send out a message to all of the parents and said, it was 2 days before Easter. I had to say, hey, listen, norovirus has hit my staff and other students. So if you have the option to work from home or can make other accommodations, especially with the holiday being 2 days, away, if you have the option to make other arrangements, I would do that. For those of you who can't make other arrangements, we're open.
Yeah.
So the rest of the staff all came in, and anybody who made other arrangements, we gave them a credit for that day in tuition.
Wow.
So again, we were very transparent.
you.
We said, look, because a lot of people don't. They just try to figure it out, whatever.
Yeah.
We were like, look, there's no way we can function at full capacity.
Yeah.
We'll be happy to provide that service because it was last minute. 3 of the staff got sick overnight. So yeah, that transparency definitely is something that you have to have, and it builds that trust.
No, it's because it's not like, and I think just to put the little asterisk on it, because there are people who think in extreme measures, right? It's not coming and telling your customer, I'm going through a divorce. Can you believe he cheated on me? I've been married for 15 years. That's like, no. That's not what I mean by transparency.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so I think, and I've learned that because sometimes when I say transparency, there's a difference of like TMI and that type of stuff.
So let's get into, what are your 5 top tips on how somebody can maximize customer service?
5. All right. So this may be a little redundant, but it's important, I'll say. All right, 5. So do I have to do them in order? Like 5 to 1?
You can do them however you want.
All right. So it's like top 5 MCs.
Top 5, yeah.
Top 5 MCs, Jay-Z, Biggie. Now. All right. So communication / transparency, being present, being able to problem solve.
With grace.
Yes. And I'm going to steal that. 4, grace, right? Being able to give grace and being able to allow grace. And 5, I think 5, I'll say pickle. Finding like what, and it could be small. I think if people think in very small, free ways that things can work for them, you don't have to go out and get a big marketing budget. But finding something very small that is unique to you and your business and your practice and your specialty, I think that is the differentiator between you and other places. And one thing that I'll say this, that I learned from like the dermatology office, the doctor would always famously say, we don't compete on price, right? Because there was a lot of Groupons that would give you like a free dermatology cleansing and aesthetic cleansing or whatever. And he would say, we don't compete on price, we compete on quality. And so if business owners take that, we're not competing on price. So to your point, yes, there are free schools, there are free daycares. We're not competing on price. We're not giving you 50% off. We are competing on the quality, the professionals that we have, the environment that we have, the amenities that we offer, Mr. Will coming out and greeting you and making you feel like you're at the Four Seasons. That's what we do, right? So if you take that and you own it, then I think that's, surefire success.
Yeah, that was more than 5. That was great. So I think, professionalism is something that people value when they come into our schools. It's something that they ask about, as you had said, teacher retention.
No.
And the folks that are here, are they qualified, or is this their job for the week? So I think that is something that you really have to build your staff to be able to provide that customer service. And we train for a lot of things in early childhood education. Customer service is not one of them. I go to conference after conference, and we're talking about best practice, and we're talking about, quality rating systems. We're talking about all those things, which are very important, but we don't talk a lot about customer service. No. We talk a lot about taking care of our staff. We don't talk a lot about how do we take care of our customers.
Yeah.
And so it's almost like, almost every center in at least in our state, has a wait list a mile long. And it's like, well, the next person will come in. But that's not how you get good reputation. That's not how you get good word of mouth. That certainly isn't how you retain customers. So
sure, and it literally can backfire having that mentality.
Yeah.
And So anyway.
So I would say the last tip would be definitely, as you had mentioned a lot of times, going that extra mile, exceeding what is expected, exceeding. So there's good, there's
good, better, best.
and best, right?
Yeah.
If you want to be the best, you have to work really hard at that and be intentional about it.
What's the saying? You shoot for the moon. If you miss, you're still amongst the stars.
Yeah.
I love that saying.
Yeah.
It's so whimsical, but it's a true thing.
Yeah. So thank you so much for tuning in. A couple of things I want to let you know before we tune out. First of all, did you know that you can now support the Childcare Director's Chair podcast? You can check the links below. For as little as $3 a month, you can support our show. It helps us bring more content and other guests to our show to give you great golden nuggets that can help you in your childcare business. And remember, it's not the big things, but the little things that make a big impact on your childcare business. So that's it for today. Thank you for tuning in and have a great day as always. Bye.